Welcome to The Man in the Arena, the show that celebrates courage, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of those who face life's greatest challenges head on. Brought to you by LifeVac, the revolutionary device that has saved over 3,000 lives in 30 countries. This show is a tribute to the heroes who refused to stand on the sidelines. Inspired by Theodore Roosevelt's timeless words, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, like Arthur Lee. We explore the stories of those who are actively making a difference, fighting for life, and transforming adversity into triumph. Founded in 2012 by Arthur Lee, LifeVac represents the power of invention and determination, a father's drive to protect his own and then others. Today, we bring you stories of bravery, innovation, and inspiration, showing that even in the toughest of arenas, there's always a way to fight for hope. Stay tuned for stories of real-life heroes, groundbreaking achievements, and the relentless pursuit of saving lives. Welcome to The Man in the Arena. I'm Rick Thatcher, and I'm joined by Arthur Lee.
Well done, my friend. That was really good. It made me think. I've had that Man in the Arena on my office wall for 40 years. When I first started, I put it up. And the real reason I started my first business was that exact quote. Because I said, if I fail, at least I tried. You know, who wants to look back on life and say, I really should have tried. I did, on this. So that, it really is an inspirational quote. But I think the biggest part of it is it includes failure, right? We don't often include, you're going to make it, you could do it. Well, maybe you don't, but it doesn't matter. It means you tried. And
Absolutely.
That's what we
you've
inspire.
done. And you used it for inspiration in your previous life, your first act, which was the creating a shipping company.
Yeah, and it was, think about it, we were in the same deal, closet, and going against Federal Express and whatnot. It was crazy.
Up against it.
That quote, I think, is a backbone of our show about what we're going to talk about with these hero first responders, police officers. But it's the summation is try. Don't worry about it. You know? At least you're in the arena.
Yeah.
You're marred with dirt and blood and tried.
Absolutely. And you know what? Today's coming up on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and what a special show. Our second show of The Man in the Arena. This is the second one.
I know. It's so cool because, think about us on Fairfield Playground, what is it, 50 years ago? Right? We're like 10. We're on there with Mr. Watson yelling at Robbie, quite a football player. Yes.
Yeah, it goes back, but you made an impression on me then, and, came up through high school together, went to different colleges, but kept in touch with each other. And it was always impressive what Arthur Lee was up to. We were definitely in different arenas, and now we're back together, bigger and better than ever. And just so honored to be part of the LifeVac family.
I think it's a destiny to it. And I looked up to you then, and, you were the A team, we were the B team. We never beat you. We wanted to. But I guess
Came
in
awful
a way,
close.
yeah. I mean, my world, that's where I belong. I was a B team, and I wanted to win, and I wanted to try. And that's a lot of the backbone of this, is taking the fear out of trying, right? We can't be afraid to try. And that's the quote. He says, doesn't matter. At least you were in the game. You gave it a shot. And you don't have to look back. You say, so what? I didn't make it, but I sure as heck gave it a shot.
Fellow Long Islander Theodore Roosevelt. A lot of people question, where that came from, and what a great example, role model to follow.
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Cool president.
Yeah. Now, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I could say, quite honestly, that we wouldn't always appreciate law enforcement. You and I, growing up, rough and tumble streets of Massapequa, but as adults, so much of an appreciation for what they do.
I think I always had appreciation for them, and I was always kind of almost in awe, and throughout life you'd have the moment where the police officer would buy lemonade or do something. I always thought of them as a pedestal, but much as the things that we'll talk about in this show were awareness that came later on.
Right.
And I think that obviously we're going to talk guys use life hack, but our first guest is the guy that brought it to the forefront. So the first run-in with really understanding the missed appreciation was a story from the Malones, right? There was a police officer in Connecticut, kid choked to death, he died. And the officer couldn't fathom, couldn't deal with it, and he had to leave the force.
Mm.
And that was an eye-opening moment of the reality of what these guys face, these guys and girls. It's not the bullets. It's the emotional damage, the children dying, the car accidents, the domestic abuses, all the stuff they have to see. And I think when we're having a week of appreciation, which is so well deserved, we need to acknowledge that. Because to me, and Dalton's the one who said it, right? He was the one, me and you were there. And he said, the bad guys, I like it. And I got to agree, we got in plenty of fights. It was fun. I got to tell you, it was clear and it was honest and it was you against him, whatever. But the emotional damage I can relate to.
Yeah. So Officer Dalton Schroeder, the incident almost coming up on a year, 2 days after Valentine's Day last year. Dalton Schroeder from Austin, Texas, joins us as the first ever call-in guest on the Man in the Arena. Someone ring a bell.
That certainly makes me happy.
Officer Schroeder, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing today?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Hey, whoever thought in wildest dreams you'd be the first guest on our radio show that's going out national?
Oh, I know. Well, I hope this is a pilot program.
Talk about a humble man. He's so funny.
Absolutely. And his wife is behind him every step of the way, as most great men, right? Dalton, welcome to the show. Take us back to the incident, because you brought, I believe, a life hack from home.
Yes, sir. It was February 16th of last year. I had been on evening shift for about 2 years. When I had made that switch, I bought a life hack, stuck it in my bag. So I just had it in my patrol bag for 2 years. And then February 16th of last year, a 4-year-old boy was choking on a piece of Valentine's candy. It was kind of about a thumb-sized oval-shaped piece of candy. And he tried swallowing 3 or 4 of them at once, and then one of them got stuck.
That's what kids do.
Oh, yeah. So we got the call, and luckily we were only a couple blocks away. My partner who was riding with me, I told him, hey, grab the kid, bring him out here to the parking lot. Mom was already there waiting for us. We laid him on top of the utility box and deployed the life vac, and within seconds, the boy was breathing again.
Yeah, the story amazingly captured on your body cam.
Wow, you know what?
And Arthur celebrates.
Dalton, all my body is tingling right now. Obviously you were in the throes of it, but I'll never forget the camera where he fist bumps the officer and hugs Dalton. Like, you can't, right, Dalton? Was that a mind-blowing experience?
Oh yeah, it was the best to see him, because when we got there, he was just limp, eyes rolled back in his head, and to see him just come back to life and give us a thumbs up and a high five and a hug and all that was the best.
I see that, and you were the one that kind of I had mentioned about the poor officer in Connecticut who had a child die and couldn't go on, and you were the one that when we were talking about this magic moment and the ability for people to see it, you were the one that said, the bullets don't bother me. It's the concern for situations like this.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. We deal with a lot of stuff that is just, at the end of the day, it's still sad, but it's a lot of people's own doing. And just to be able to reverse a real tragedy that never needed to happen, that was the result of no one's negligence or misguided actions. That was huge.
Yeah, and that's why in this segment of appreciation, my goal is to appreciate the mental challenges, the sociological, the empathy that you guys have to deal with and persevere through. The other thing I love watching that clip is the kid's face. He's a kid, so he's kind of got this like goofy look on him, like, "Oh, that was pretty bad."
Am I going to be in trouble?
Yeah, right.
Right.
But that's like a kid, he's like, "Good, I guess well, I guess I'm okay. I'll give this guy a hug." But that's the beauty of a child, right? He's already like, okay.
Yeah, that family,
You
that
have some more
community
family?
certainly appreciates you. We appreciate you. And another aspect of this story that we appreciate so much in sharing the story is, can you talk about how the police department went about being willing to share this story? Because other rescues from other police officers, the entire police force already has a LifeVac in their patrol car. Can you tell us about their decision to share the video of you saving this young man's life?
I think their decision to share it was great. And to that note, I owe a lot of the credit to my lieutenant. He came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, what happened? I heard the radio traffic with this call. What was going on? It sounded like y'all saved a kid." I said, "Well, it's no big deal,
Of course you said that.
That's
Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about it, LT." So he pulled me aside and he said, "No." He said, "No, BS, Dalton. It's absolutely a big deal because I've had 3 of those calls in my career, and 2 of those 3 I could do nothing. Nothing worked. So I had to stand there and watch these poor kids die." So that's when I realized that it really was a big deal. And my lieutenant, John Brooks, he took it and ran with it. He took it to the public information office. He took it to the higher ups in the department.
Well, you want to talk about
It went
appreciation
from
for
there.
courage. It's not only the courage they go out there every day. It's the courage to do something like this. You talk about the guys in Ontario too.
Mm-hmm.
You met them when you came in when we were all sitting around that table. It was an awesome moment with law enforcement guys. 2 things you'd see: their soul, their softness. Right? We think, "Oh, they're going to hit me with the nightstick." They don't want to hit you with a nightstick. They want to help you. And the other thing is to buck the system, to say we are going to share this information because it can save other people.
Bravery.
Our police have saved so many lives, and a lot of it goes to Dalton's video and the Ontario guys and their willingness to go out there and say, "Look, this is a good part of our job. This is what we want to be doing, is helping people and sharing and making the world a better place."
Yeah, well, certainly Officer Schroeder is making the world a better place, made the world a better place, and will
He's such
continue.
a cool guy. He's so humble.
And
What
he's-
a smush him.
And he's a big one.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a big bomb boy, right, Dalton?
Yes, sir.
And we got to see Officer Schroeder and his lovely wife for the 3,000 Lives Saved party.
Yay.
Quite a dancer, too.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's regular Kevin Bacon out there.
Yeah.
Now, you guys had probably your first trip to New York. I think you took it by storm, saw the Statue of Liberty, all the usual
Yay.
place. How'd you enjoy your first trip to the Big Apple?
Oh, it was awesome.
That's great.
We went and saw the city that first day too, and then we went to the Long Beach and had a nice relaxing day. So thank y'all for the invitation up there
Man,
and having us.
Thank you.
You're a blessing in my life, and you're just, not only are you a hero to us and to me, you're a really good dude, and your wife too. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for your friendship.
And we appreciate you, Officer Schroeder.
I appreciate y'all.
All right. You've been listening to The Man in the Arena, Officer Dalton Schroeder, Arthur Lee, Rick Fatcher here. We have more coming up, so join us on the other side. Welcome back to The Man in the Arena. My name is Rick Fatcher. I'm joined by Arthur Lee. It is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Arthur, how do you normally celebrate?
Yeah, well, I saw, yeah, right. We have a big bash parade. We should.
They deserve more than a day. Let's be honest.
They do. And I think I'm really grateful that we're addressing the mental side. I think that the more the people understand, we have to have a little more compassion. And like it goes in the book, it's accidental rudeness, where we jump to this, we beat them up, and we have to understand they're people. And the side that we talked about in the earlier segment, and we'll go into it with John, is the back end. Not they're heroes for putting their lives on the line, but the back end is the part that is so challenging, that stays with them. That Dalton just said it. His lieutenant had 3 calls, 2 of them that died. They had to lose them. And when we were in Ontario, they still remember a death from 7 years ago, choking death, and how much it stuck with the entire team, from the dispatch to the officers to the mechanics to everyone at that station. And I had the honor of being escorted around and got the tour, and they made it very clear how grateful they were that they had this because of what happened last time. So I think that it's very wise, it's very appropriate to show appreciation for that part of the job.
No question.
Only you risk your life in the line of duty, but what you got to take home at night.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, joining us, second ever in the history of the Man in the Arena, second guest calling in from all the way from Texas, John Sideshow Salerno. John, are you there?
Hey, how you doing? Yes, I am.
I'm doing well. We kid a little bit, and that's the nature of conversations around LifeVac, but very serious topic. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
I got to ask you this. It came up on Facebook when you were on for LifeVac, when you did that segment. When was that? How long ago?
That was 2018.
I got to do, man. I need my fingers.
It's about 6 or 7 years.
7 years ago.
How cool is that? And you had the yellow tube, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's when we only had 6 lives saved. And now we're here only 7 years later, and you have well over 3,300 saved, which is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And so many more lives could be saved if we just have that. If we just have LifeVac in every school, every patrol car, every home, so many more can be saved. Because so many were saved in just 7 years.
Well, think of this, man. You had, we didn't know each other. You picked up the cause like you do, with all the passion that you attack your causes with. And we had an opportunity to be on a show in Texas. And
coming up.
We didn't have the money. And I asked John, I said, he absolutely goes on the show, does a news segment with our yellow Home Depot sink plungers, 6 lives saved.
What time do I need to be there?
That's when it's, exactly.
It's a great mentality.
Whose car are we taking?
Exactly.
So he jumped right in.
Departed.
But, where, I love that line.
Sorry.
We are attempting to bring to light a mission of yours in a different avenue, and from what we have faced with LifeVac and getting in a station and them having a story of losing a child and realizing the psychological gratitude we have to have. You tell us a little bit about your mission and how you have to face and address. You're really bringing it to the forefront.
Well, mental health is just like with LifeVac. It's an uphill battle, because when people don't understand what's going on or how things work, you sometimes get some resistance. Over the last 10 years, we've made great strides in mental health within our first responder, across the board, with peer support groups and certain things. But there's still those smoke and mirror programs that politicians just throw money at, and they don't work, or the stigma is still there, and it's an uphill battle. And we're making strides, which is good, because if I could share some of the numbers with you,
please.
2024, we've had 143 first responder suicides. Those are the ones that are reported.
Jeez.
Now, out of the 143 that took their own life, 93 were still active on the job. 27 of them were retired from the job. Now, if you look at, we get all these statistics from First Help. They keep the statistics. And then if you go to the officer down page that covers all the line of duty deaths throughout the country, 144 officers were killed on the job during their job.
Mm.
So only one more. We lost 143 to their own hands, and we lost 144 by some sort of accident or gunfire or something like that.
Mm.
Only 49 police officers last year died from gunshot wounds on the job. Those numbers are staggering, that we are losing almost double the amount of law enforcement officers to their own hands than we are to perpetrate a gunfire. There is an issue there.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying about the guy in Connecticut that had a child die in his arms and couldn't continue to be an officer. And God willing, nothing happened to him. But, your point is, and Dalton was the clearest, biggest dude ever to just say, I don't care about the bullets. They're not what bother me. They're not what scare me. They're not what makes me not sleep at night. And your mission to raise awareness that, you look at that number, and what we stumbled across is so apparent, right? That their courage and empathy and all the things that go into being human of what they have to deal with. And I think on Appreciation Day, it's important for us to say, yeah, we appreciate the bullets, but we appreciate the fact that you wake up and continue.
And the struggle.
And we do understand that is a challenge, and we do say, if you need help, that we want to help you, like you do, and that's your mission. And it's just so appropriate to raise awareness that these are humans, and they have to see horrible things.
But see, you just hit it on the head. These are humans, and as a cop, as a law enforcement officer, when you put on that uniform, from the day you put it on in the academy, you never take it off. And this is how the mentality happens. You become John the cop. You become the neighbor the cop.
Mm-hmm.
You embrace that identity as the police officer, as the cop, and you never learn who you truly are. You lose who you are in retrospect.
How close to soldier is that, right?
Huh?
How close to officer to soldier? Same amount of traumatic situation,
responsibility or label,
right?
Well, see, here's the deal too. Post-traumatic stress, it plays a big part in the suicide ideations, but it's mostly the coping mechanisms are broken within the human body. And what happens is, like, a veteran will go get deployed for a year, right? Then when he comes home, he still has those images of war or deployment, but he is him. He gets home and he's able to adjust to civilian life. Law enforcement officers, when they get off the job, when they finish their tour, they still go home and they're still
in the battle,
in that neighborhood. Yeah,
right.
They're still in that battle. So they never really learn who their true identity is.
Wow.
And what we try to do is we try to break them out of that and say, hey, listen, you know what? And you know this, if you see any cop, they're sitting with they go out to a restaurant to try to relax with their family, they have their back against the wall. They go to the grocery store, they got to make sure they have their gun on them. They go to the mall because their heightened awareness, their level of awareness is so high 24/7. What it does is it dumps so much cortisol into your brain that your brain does not function like a normal human being.
Definitely
You're
high
always
stress.
on high alert.
Yeah.
Yes. And
we're talking with John Salerno. You're listening to The Man in the Arena and Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We appreciate you joining us. John, what can we do, our show, our audience, the people, to do? Where is the help needed the most?
The help is really the politicians, the upper management. The change in the system it has to be changed. The stigma has to be broken. I hate to use that word stigma.
No, don't use it. It still exists, and it's killing people.
You look at it this way: if an officer breaks his arm in the line of duty, right? He is, oh my God, he broke his arm. We're going to give him everything. We're going to make sure his medicals, everything's done. We're not going to take his gun away. We're going to, treat him like he's a hero.
Right.
But if your brain gets hurt, right, from the mental images, right? They don't look at that as an injury. They're like, oh, something's wrong with him. Let's take away his gun. Let's strip him of everything. And what does that do to a man or a woman? That demeans them because they have such passion in a job. And then now you're taking away because they were injured from a visual or something that happened on the job. It's an injury. It's not a mental illness. It's an injury to the brain.
So how does
And
that
until we
change?
You know,
look-
I think though, as in this show and what you do, I think we have to raise, what can we do as humans, as people that have compassion and care? We got to raise the awareness to that situation, right? So the people in the neighborhood know, right? That everyone gets a feeling of gratitude and to say it's okay. You don't have to be a cop at my party. Relax, I
Right.
think if we can all help by allowing a path to open up to talk about it so the officer doesn't feel he has to be the officer, he can't say that he's feeling certain things. And as general public and general neighborhoods to relax and make sure that we understand that, we give them that break, You're not a cop today, relax,
Right.
And maybe just acknowledging it, we eat the elephant, we take a bite. Right, we as the public, what can we do while we wait for help or politicians or laws or rules or whatever? Let's all be a little more compassionate. Let's acknowledge that what you just said, which I never really thought much about either, and raise awareness to be gentle.
Yeah, definitely a move away from defund the police. Let's
Support.
fund, support,
Well,
love, thank a cop.
Thank a cop, exactly. Believe it or not, when you go up to an officer and you say thank you for doing your job, and thank you for protecting me, that goes such a long way in a cop's mind, because you're giving him his why back, because so much has beaten him down, he loses his why. And when you can go up to him and say thank you, it like refuels him, and it makes him gives him purpose again. They don't lose their purpose.
And maybe a little more comfort, right? Where he can put down his guard a little and say, "I know you're a cop. It's okay, man. Let's shoot some hoops. Let's be human to each other and show gratitude for the job, and then also let them help them put their hat down for a little bit, and acknowledge that the heightened sense that they go through 99.9% of every day. It's okay, and you don't have to be a cop today." And
introduce him as John, my neighbor, not John the cop or John the detective. This is my neighbor. This is my friend.
Yeah, unless they want to be identified, like Murray the cop from The Odd Cop. Murray the cop.
Yeah, Murray the cop. That's a great example of
it was in the
outstanding
script.
officer.
So you have roots, John. Bring us back. You're in Texas now, but you have roots on Long Island, and I wanted to ask you, when we talk about these changes, like we can all individually show our appreciation to cops, but is it local with individual departments, or is it a state change that needs to be made with identifying and paying homage to the mental injury as we would for the physical injury?
That's the $1 million question, because each department is run a little differently. Each management style is different. Each chief is different. Each city manager or politician within those states are different. So everybody looks at things a little differently.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, raising the awareness bar and letting, we've gotten rid of the suck it up attitude, which is great. Now at least they're starting to identify.
Snap out of it.
That
walk it off.
Right. Or hey, let's just go out for a drink. And then you're out to the bar till 4 o'clock in the morning, getting nothing accomplished, but getting drunk, which makes matters worse.
So you're saying
that
alcohol
doesn't really work.
Alcohol, not a positive.
I tried that.
We're not advocating
It
for
was
that.
a little fun for a while, but it doesn't work. In the long run.
Yeah, it is. But when you're battling, it is not it's not great. And if you want me to share a story, I'll be totally transparent with you. 3 years ago, I don't know if I shared this with you, but 3 years ago, and due to alcohol, a lot of inner things came out that I never dealt with before, and I was going to take my life. And before I knew it, and thank God I passed out before I was able to do anything. When I woke up, there was a tank on my front lawn. There were 7 snipers in my trees. There were cops all around, surrounding my house. and not one of them knew how to deal with mental health awareness when they're dealing with a suicidal officer.
Had you made a call?
Well, my wife called and said, "Hey, my husband's a retired detective, and he's having a breakdown, and he's threatening to commit suicide." And when they got there, they said, she told the cops, she goes, "He passed out in the back room. He's not armed anymore, but his gun is on the floor." And they still shot 7 canisters of tear gas into my house. And then when I finally woke up and I came out and I saw the tank and I saw all these cops out there, they locked me up, they put cuffs on me, and they threw me in jail. And I got strip searched. I got put in general population in the Tarrant County prison,
Wow.
all because I pulled my gun on myself, and they didn't know how to handle it. They thought, I don't know what they thought.
How long ago was this, John?
This was 3 years ago.
Wow. 3 years ago. You'd think
Well,
that you were hearing
talking
something from 20 years ago.
Well,
Right.
also, I don't know, it's a little frustrating as far as what law did he break, but the reality is.
Well, they said because I pulled my weapon out in the presence of my wife in a threatening manner. I never pointed the gun at her. I
They
pointed it at
proved that.
myself. Right, but that's what they, because it's the education factor.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't educate our officers to the point of how to be more compassionate. And I understand it's a tough job because every job,
it
every
is a tough
circumstance
job.
is
You had a
different.
gun,
Every
whatever you go
circumstance is
nuts.
different.
I tried to get
It's
out
just
of
that-
jail free card once
Yeah.
when we
And
were
didn't work out.
explained we had a gun that we didn't have, and that didn't work. But
Well, listen,
You
John
know-
Salerno, I
Yeah.
apologize. We're up against a break. Thank you
Oh,
so
no,
much.
you
And
got
we'll
it.
continue
Thank you.
this conversation with John Salerno. You're listening to The Man in the Arena. Arthur Lee and
brother.
myself, Rick. Thank you so much, John. And we'll see you on the other side.
keep going.
Welcome back to The Man in the Arena. I'm with Arthur Lee, CEO, inventor, and all-around good guy. I'm Rick Thatcher, and this is our, second show of The Man in the Arena. Today, it's all about Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
How cool
Arthur,
is that?
we kid about the early years. Maybe we were more truant or juvenile delinquent, possibly. But I always had such a difficult job, and no better time. It's only a day. We should say they should get a month.
Like everything through, going from the book to learn and lessons learned in LifeVac, and really getting a deeper appreciation for the back end of the officer that you see as a kid, and you look up to him, and your parents tell you if you have a problem, you get to an officer, and always was that kid. Thank you, officer, hello, officer, have a good day, and we should be that way. But LifeVac has opened the door to the other side, of which we've addressed somewhat in this show, and. In this segment, we actually have another fantastic
Amazing story.
officer. And if you want to show gratitude for your officer, listen to these stories.
Yeah.
Dalton saved the child and got a hug, and that mom got her child because of him and his department.
Right.
And Celine is the same way in her world.
Yeah. A couple statistics, I think. Well, 666 police departments. We got to change that.
Yeah.
Someone's got to get on. We got to change that. Police departments equipped with LifeVac. 491 fire departments, close to 9,000 schools. We talk about that. We've got to keep going. That's like between 10 and 20% of
10%.
schools nationwide. We talked about long-term care facilities and restaurants. People, when they get an awareness of LifeVac, they invariably say to you or I or any member of the team, you know where you have to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Comes up a lot.
11 years.
We know we're going, and we'll get there with a lot of people's help. And this show, The Man in the Arena. So, welcome, Officer Selena Gostella from the Glen Cove Police Department.
Hello, happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you coming on, and there was a real joy of seeing you guys at the 3,000 party. I think that it really made a closeness to the officers. Like, you guys had fun, and I had so many people that felt good seeing you guys have fun. So I hope you did have fun.
We did. I was just talking to Heidi a little bit earlier, and we were just saying how the vibes in the room were everyone was just happy, and it was full of life, literally. So we were happy to be there.
Time flew that night, and there were so many great spirits in the room, such a coming together. we talked about it earlier, just last summer, and I don't know if the save that we're going to talk about fell between 1,000 and 3,000, but it's
So,
just
Lena,
a
do you
summer.
know what number your save was?
We were close to 3,000. We were like, I think 2009, I think in 98.
Wow.
We
So
were close.
close.
We were in October, so we were like mid-October. We were close to the 3,000th. Yeah.
So
Isn't that
just a
wild?
couple of months ago, why don't we kind of go back a couple of months and tell us, number one, I know how you found or had LifeVac, right? Through Heidi Felix and the
Yay,
team at
Heidi,
LifeVac?
Heidi.
One of our detectives, yeah, reached out to her, and Heidi was more than happy to help us out and get us some life back. So,
Yeah.
She
yep.
is definitely an epitome of a life hacker, Heidi. Her spirit never gets crushed. She just keeps going, and if she can do anything to help someone, she does it. But tell us about the save. Tell us about what happened that day, because it's that'll certainly help with appreciation to our officers.
Absolutely.
Sure. So, myself and Officer Derek Valance, we work the night shifts. So we work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It was mid-October, October 18th. We just started shift at 7 p.m. and 7:06 dispatch came over, and we didn't know what we were going to. He just said that there was a frantic caller and gave us an address, and he said he'll try to find out some more information, but just go. So myself and Officer Valance, we ride in separate cars, but we drove together. We drove to the call. We showed up, and as we're pulling into the address, we get further information from dispatch to say that this person might be choking. And honestly, it wasn't even 6 months ago that we got the life vacs, and we were just trained on them. So we looked at each other and we both pretty much said, let's grab the life vac. So Officer Valance grabbed the life vac from the trunk of his car. We ran into the building, and there was a male laying on the floor, unresponsive, blue,
Oof.
not breathing, and barely had a pulse. So right away, we deploy the life vac. Officer Valance starts using the life vac. I'm cutting his shirt and putting AED pads on because that's the route it looked like it was going to go. If we didn't secure an airway, we were going to have to start CPR. So Officer Valance is utilizing the life vac, and I couldn't believe how much stuff came out of this individual's mouth. He was an older gentleman. He was eating like noodles and tuna, I believe,
Mm.
and he kept using the life vac, and more kept coming out of his mouth, and I kept sweeping all the food that was coming out of his mouth. And once whatever was occluding his airway was released, it was like a light switch went off, and he came to, he started to breathe again, and he took a big gasp of air, and it was like night and day. Life came literally back into his body, and he was blinking and could talk to us, and to this day he's still alive. So
Was that
it
almost
was
like
pretty crazy.
that moment when, and that's the situation when, and the tragedy of it, where an airway obstruction is so black and white. You clear it, they're fine. There was nothing wrong with them. It wasn't a heart attack.
Yeah.
It wasn't some form of medical emergency in the sense of there's further treatment or further things. You clear the airway, they go back to life. There's so many stories
Yeah.
of people that have cleared it and went back to eating.
Yeah.
Particularly older
Yeah,
people. They're
literally.
like,
Our
I'm
own
fine.
Donna Marie
Yeah.
continued to eat the s'more.
Yeah, she's
Finished
fine.
it.
But what was it when, and I appreciate you sharing, and it's so helpful to others, and I hope anyone listening goes out and thanks an officer for what they do when they hear something like this in particular.
Yeah. Let's
But-
make every day Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Let's make it more of
We
a
appreciate that.
simple.
Oh, absolutely.
What if it was law enforcement gratitude, right? So we're grateful for what they do, and as we've addressed in the show, we're grateful when they go home and hope they can stop thinking about the day. But when his eyes open, were you like almost like what just happened? Like I would think I would look at it like this person just came back from the dead. We're gonna zap him.
Then
We're
we're
gonna do all
gone.
these things. All of a
That's
sudden he
that's
goes
what it felt like.
right. You looked at him like, what?
Um,
Hello.
Now,
Yeah,
family,
finally,
his
we
family
took
was
a deep
around?
breath too. Yes, his son was there, and his wife was there, and that was the frantic caller, and she was, hysterical, and she was like, he's dead when we walked
Oh.
in. And
Holy shit.
yeah, just to see everybody else's reaction too. But I mean, we looked at each other and we could finally take a deep breath too. Your shoulders relax a little bit, and you're like, okay, all right. a lot better than, the latter of having to do CPR and trying to save his life and, other means. But yeah, it was like magic, honestly.
Right, your
And
mind's
once
going a
that,
million miles a minute of what the next steps, how we're going to do it, what we're going to do. We're going to race them off, and you're in the moment. You know, your adrenaline's pumping, the fear, the pain, the scare, the family, and goes boop. Right?
yeah, literally, that's how it was.
Now,
And it was crazy because it hit a little closer to home, and we didn't even know until we were pretty much done with the call, but that was one of our sergeant's dads.
That's a
wow.
God wink right there too, boy. You know, you talk
Yeah.
about in this day of and how grateful my head's gonna explode. I'm so grateful you
Mm.
came on because we're talking about appreciation, and you saved another fellow officer's dad. I mean, that's some appreciation there.
Absolutely. We're speaking with Officer Selena Guastella. I'm getting a little choked up myself
I
listening to
know,
this story.
I
It's
know.
really amazing. Glen Cove police officer who utilized LifeVac just a couple of months ago to save one of their lieutenant's father choking near death, right? Only 4 minutes. So amazing. We thank you so much for taking the time. And
And thank you for your spirit. I think that we need to know, like, seeing them have a good time made me so happy. Like, we sit here and say thank you for the job you do, but it was fun to see them actually get shown that appreciation. You know, to give them a cookie or something. You know, let's just put our hand out and then say thank you. And I thank you for continuing to share this painful story because it will save so many others. And you know, just listening to that moment of him coming back is such a moment of gratitude for us at LifeVac. So we really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you, Arthur, for sure, for creating a device like this, because I think I said to you when I saw you, you know, it's hard to put faith into something until you see it work, and to actually see it work, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was
So
6 years
I'm
of.
grateful for you.
It was about 6 years of complete faith because we didn't know if it would work. So,
I think so.
Faith is a big part of what we do in life.
And all those questions have been answered and more. So we thank you so much, Officer Guastella. We'll see you soon. And for everyone else listening, you're listening to the woman in the arena in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with Arthur Lee, and we'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to The Man in the Arena. I'm with Arthur Lee. My name is Rick Thatcher. And gosh, we were talking, it's Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Should be longer. Should be every day. It's an attitude that we need to incorporate
It is
more.
an idea. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really grateful for this show. You think about it when we address the social impact, you know, the difficulties that they face off the job, right? And some compassion we could show. But we also had ones that saved lives with LifeVac.
Right.
So, I mean, in a way, you had the mix of trying to be more compassionate and understanding. And then the fact that, you know, these two, you know, Dalton saved a child, they saved an adult. And when Selena was talking about her save and the eyes popping open, and
The color changing, coming back.
it really is like, oh my God. And then how hard is it to show appreciation for those people? That shouldn't be a once a year day. That should be
All the time.
compassion, appreciation, and recognition. And, you know, maybe we made a dent in it today.
Yeah.
And we got a whole bunch of cool stuff. This is our second show ending up, and it's been a blast.
Yeah. The man in the arena, you are the man in the arena. And we take this Teddy Roosevelt quote to guide us. But you've written a book, Sorry Can't is a Lie. Now, this book is available, of course, at www.lifevac.net or, as I just learned, .com.
Yeah.
So LifeVac, very important for many reasons. You want to go there, get the book. Is it available
Yeah.
on other venues?
Well, think about it. You go to lifevac.net, you can get a LifeVac. We'll give you a free fire
First and
blanket.
foremost.
And if you'd like to get my book, great. Now, what we have coming up in the next, 20 shows is we're going to take a chapter from it. And it's not in a promotion of the book. It's
No,
that
the concept.
they're little pieces of foundational wisdom. And like I was telling you before, you know, he goes from the Little Rascals to Davy and Goliath to
John Wayne,
John
True Grit.
Wayne to movies to throwing a rock, my neighbor throwing a rock and hitting a guy in the head. You know, we learn things in life. We may pass them up just like God winks, right? But with the phenomena of LifeVac, 27 countries and 3,000 lives and 2,000 kids.
I'd love to correct you on this.
I
30
know,
countries,
I appreciate that. I was
3,300
hoping
lives.
you would.
Yeah.
But it gives us a guideline for the show, right? And we hope that you could save a life with a LifeVac. You could save a life with compassion. You can save a life with empathy. In the book, there's a story about a guy who waves, and he waves and smiles to someone. The guy was going to go jump off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Very appropriate for what we're talking about
Right?
today.
And that's in the silly
Make
chapter.
a difference.
There's a chapter on being silly, right? And what book is that? But once again, it's not really necessarily about the book. It's about awareness. It's about self-motivation, self-foundations, right? We make non-negotiables. When that star went across the sky and told me to do LifeVac, made it simple. Didn't matter how much I got my brains beat in. I was told to do it. I was going to do it. But think about it in a way, it almost takes the pressure off. God told me to do it. I'm going to go do it. Whatever happens, happens. It doesn't matter.
You're untouchable.
Yeah.
Or you're protected.
That's
the first show coming up, little tease, they call it in the business.
Ooh.
Can't. You do not like this word. It's right there in the title, but you do not like can't.
Well,
talk about the history of that.
That's why it's the title, because I think looking back as a kid, my dad helping to put a man on the moon and moving our garage when it was supposed to be taken, we just picked it up and rolled it, and there was so many aspects of life back then that you might say you can't do that. Well, he wouldn't let us say it. We weren't allowed to use that word. And if I go back and I look back being a kid to now, that was a big thing. If you get rid of that word, you will change your life because it forces you to think differently. And I look forward to that. We're going to have Singer on, right? Because I don't think I ever heard him say that word, ever. He always says 100%, doesn't matter what you tell him. So he's like, great.
Yep.
But I think that's
Did he have
part
that?
of it.
Did he have that, or did you share that with him, or Mike Singer just came that
Just
way?
the way he is.
That's the way he's built.
But I do believe, and that's why I almost said we may have to do 2 parts on the can't is a lie part, because I think your background, he could fix a car, he could fix your house, he could fix a roof, he could make a piece of furniture, he could do the electric system. But the more tools you have, maybe the more you're less likely to say can't, because your brain is going to reach into a different file to solve that problem. My concern nowadays is clicking on the phone and getting an answer, right? You don't have to figure it out. So you may not be as prepared. Your library is not as deep to feel that way, to say, I can do that. I can do anything. But in the micro sense, getting rid of that word, I can't make it tonight. You could. You'd have to change plans. You'd have to put gas in your car. When you micro get rid of it, it macros you out. And I look forward to doing these.
You're coming up with these taglines
right?
Earlier today.
Micro,
now.
macro. I said something else smart earlier, too.
A lot of stuff. We're going to go back to the tape. I think Noah has it. We're going to get completely refreshed on all the
smart
gems
things,
and pearls.
all the smart things.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah,
We could take some filtering.
Yeah.
But think about it now. All over the country, people are listening to us, and we have a responsibility, hopefully, to share something good. I think today, in the appreciation, maybe a few more people will understand the emotional side of it, not just the courage it takes to get shot at. And going forward, maybe we can help people by sharing LifeVac to save a life, and foundational hope, thoughts, prayer, perseverance. This is a chapter on prayer, and it's not your normal prayer.
Yeah. You inspire others. The LifeVac family touch the world with your invention, and bring us up to date with Jackie. Where's Jackie now?
Well, she just went back to school, but I often say this. She was a gymnast and she 8th in the state. She was head of the Art Society 4.0. She was voted most kind in our high school. Our old high school.
Massapequa High School.
But that's what I was super proud of her. And I think if we all made that a goal, to be voted most kind, that would be a good goal for us. And in Appreciation Week, let's be kind to our officers, right? Let's be kind. They got to deal with a lot of stuff, and it's not just the bullets.
Powerful message from a very powerful and just Great all-around guy. Arthur Lee, inventor and CEO of LifeVac. You've been listening to The Man in the Arena. Oh, we got 3 more minutes. I don't know. I thought I was going to drag that out a bit. So, Arthur, let's rewind and talk a little bit more about the can't.
Wait, we got 3 minutes, right? I enjoy the fact
LB
that
gave me the
you and I can talk Madame Tytler in grade school, right? Let's do it. You ready? Bonjour, Guy.
on va à la plage?
Non, allons chez Suzanne, la mima cousine.
Yeah, loosely translated. No, I can't go to the beach with you. I got to go to my cousin's house, a friend of my cousin.
But how weird was it? We were talking about that today. So
Right.
we go back to junior high.
J. Lewis Ames Junior High School, Massapequa, New York.
Right. But
Absolutely.
in the book, that's wingmen. That's what it takes to make it, is finding the good people in your life that you know will be there, that you can trust, and you can do anything when that happens. And since we had an extra 3 minutes, I think it's funny that we both could recite that thing. And God, imagine if Madame Tytler's listening. I would love
Wow.
that. That would crack
If someone
me
could
up.
get in touch with Madame
Tytler.
Ronnie, I think the first name is nickname Ronnie Tytler,
She was
Teitler.
scary. She was scary, though.
To a
A
junior
good
high
way,
school
a
kid
good
in
way.
a good way. Yeah, we
she was
definitely.
passionate about her French.
Yeah,
but
you know who wasn't intimidated by her? Paul Bucco.
no.
Lit that
Oh, is
firework
that the
off.
firework
Yes,
outside the thing?
horrible story.
Hey, it kind of ties into law enforcement. They could have been there to arrest the kid. I don't know. We're off track.
We're off the rails.
Yes.
So, other chapters that are coming up. I know that the games do count is a big one,
Yeah.
and that's coming up
Well,
quick.
let's look at them real quick.
Sure.
We got perfection. The games do count. Never be a flat squirrel. Prayer. Sometimes you have to say WTF.
When you say "Don't be a flat squirrel," reminds us of our new
Or flying squirrel.
the flying squirrel team.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to
Quite
talk
a
about
team,
that.
Quite a team. 3 o'clock high in my junior high school, grade school fist fight. Fill your hands with lead, true courage, serenity, prayer, and my last mitt.
Your last mitt.
Well, your baseball mitt is something that goes with you through life and goes through generation, and it made me aware. FU money, great chapter.
What is the FU?
Friendly University,
Nice.
or actually what you really think it means, because
Right.
that was a lesson my uncle taught me. Oh my God, isn't it romantic? What do you think it's from? Rocky.
Mm.
Think about that.
Cuff and Link.
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised what the romantic part of Rocky was.
Yeah.
Be silly.
So much of this book. When I read. I'm proud to say an earlier
Yes,
version that
you
was
had
held
the-
together with a paperclip, and now it's available lifevac.net.
Yeah.
And I'm so used to saying that I can also say lifevac.com.
Lifevac.com.
But go to LifeVac, the website.
Yeah.
LIFEVAC, because so many people go on, and for various reasons, it's no bueno.
It's easy
Make
to go
sure,
live.
yes, make sure you get
You
the
get a free
real
fire blanket now, too.
free
for a while.
fire blanket.
Yeah.
Laura
And you save a
Bonelli,
life, and if you
unbelievable.
want my book, get it. You can follow along at home when we do our show if you have the book.
Absolutely, and it's going to be in a journey that I'm glad we're endeavoring on
It's
this
gonna be
journey.
fun.
It's fantastic. The Man in the Arena. You've been listening to Arthur Lee, and I'm Rick Thatcher. We've got so much more coming up, so we'll see you next week on The Man in the Arena.